What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes get to catch up with Jasmine Jasudavicius, who's got a big win this past weekend against Mayra Bueno Silva. And Mayra Bueno Silva, don't forget, folks, is a title challenger at one point who dropped the flyweight. And so that's a big win, along with 5 out of her last 6. Jasmine, you're on a roll.
Thank you.
What did that mean to you? You know, I don't want to disrespect your former competition at all. They're all big fights along the way, but again, she fought for a title about a year ago, so you know you're getting close to the top because the profiles just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is she's done it. She's been in there. I fought on the same card that she had the title fight on. So she's very accomplished and like obviously super talented. So when the fight was offered to me, I was like, I got to jump on these opportunities, and I'm happy that I did.
Does your confidence grow in not just the victory, but the fact that it was pretty dominant, and along with a lot of your other fights, you're not losing rounds, so whether you're getting the finish or winning the fight via decision, you're just not losing rounds. So you're constantly winning what I call 5-minute fights. They're basically a 3-round fight is 15 minutes, but it's like 3 5-round fights where you got to get either the 10 or the 9 or obviously a finish, and you don't lose those very often.
Yeah, I after each fight camp and after each fight, I'm like hungry to get better. I always am watching my fights and like thinking, okay, how would I beat me? And like working on those, and I'm like I want to reach my potential. I want to be the best in the world, and so I'm on like a continual quest to try to be the best.
What have you heard in terms of what's at the top? What I mean by that is Valentina Shevchenko probably will defend against Manon Fiorot, but I don't believe anything's on the books yet. And so obviously the spillover goes to like an Aaron Blanchfield, right? And all the other pursuers of the title. So have you heard anything about when that fight may happen and how it may affect your next fight?
I haven't heard about anything. I mean, I'm sure my coaches and stuff, they know more because after a fight, it's like challenging for me to be thinking about another fight. Like, I'm just trying to rest and like let the sand still settle from the last fight. So like I feel like my coaches, they definitely know more than me. I just tell them let me chill. But I obviously like I know with the momentum that's going on, I would, and UFC coming to Montreal in I think it's like May or March or something like that, I forget when it is, but so I feel like there could be a possibility of some type of a big opportunity for me, and like that's what I'm about. I think that's what life is, like jumping on big opportunities. So I don't know. We'll see what's next, but I'm excited to see it.
If it's May, it sounds like you would do it, right? That's about a good enough time.
Yeah.
What if it's March?
I don't know. I wanted to chill after like the last fight for a little bit. Like, I don't know, take maybe a weekend away or a week away even. Um, but then like the next opportunity kind of like pops up. I'm like the most active fighter right now. I've had like the closest girl that's fought to me has like 4 fights since like 2023 or whatever. I think it's like when I got into the UFC. So I fought almost like double what she's been fight or what the other girls are fighting. So I kind of want to rest a little bit, but at the same time, if a big opportunity comes, I know that I can pull through.
All right. Jasmine Jasudavicius is our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Her and Mayra Bueno Silva had a historical fight out in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia this past weekend. Jasmine won the fight, and she's on a roll. All right. Goes, what do you have for our guest here? JJ.
So Jasmine, that was it's a very big accomplishment, to be able to be the first female fight out there. I think that you should be very proud of that. But one thing I got to thinking, and especially with you talking about how many fights you've been taking, when we look at the country here, the United States, or we look at other countries around the world, they all kind of have their signature fighters. Where do you feel like you've been placed in Canadian mixed martial arts, because you've been doing this for a while, you have a very good record and you're moving up those ranks? Do you ever get talks back home about, where you stand amongst the Canadian fans? Because I think you've kind of risen a lot here lately.
I mean, I thought about it a little bit. I loved that people have like referred me even in the same sentence as GSP. So it's like an honor to be able to like represent Canada and be a ranked fighter in the top 10 from Canada. So I don't know. I feel like I have a ton of genuine, like real support, and so I'm just trying to keep doing my best.
Since, we got to go back a ways, but when we go to your last loss, is there anything since that moment that you feel you have changed or learned that has kind of helped you in this journey and being on this magnificent streak that you're on now? Is there one thing that you can point to?
Defense. I feel like that loss that I had, the reason that I got that loss is because I didn't respect her striking. I got hit with this shot that like made my vision split. I broke my orbital in that fight. Like within a minute of that fight. So I feel like that the defense and like no, don't take a free shot. No, like they can have one for me to have one. I feel like that technically was a very tough lesson that I learned from that fight. But but yeah, like there's so many lessons from each fight, from each camp, from each everything that I learn, and I like continue to kind of like have that trend to continue through.
How do you flip the switch? And what I mean by that is we've always known you to be smiling, having a good time, but you're very intense in the cage, obviously what you do. When does that switch flip for you, and how does that feel? Do you almost feel like a different person when you're doing that?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of like go through a transition over fight week, and I that's why a lot of time like I have my coaches and like my teammate with me, and sometimes I don't like to be around them because I know that I'm like getting like an edge and I'm getting like snappy and I'm like it's not the most pleasant person to be around, and I know that it's like nothing against them, it's just like the transition that I'm going through. So I just try to stay on my own, that way I don't say something that I completely don't mean or anything like that. But because you have to go through a transitional period that like you're okay with hurting someone. Like I don't want to be in there and choke someone unconscious or have them in an armbar and have to break their arm. Like that's not an enjoyable like thing, but I do understand that it's part of the sport, and in order for me to continue to perform the way I do, I have to kind of go through accepting that's a potential byproduct. That's additionally why I train so hard, because I understand that I could be on the other side of that, getting my arm broken, being unconscious. So it kind of works both ways.
Does it ever make it easier if your opponent maybe talks a little smack or gets in your face? Does that help that process a little bit to get a little bit more intense and not feel so bad about that?
Yeah, I'm sure that it would. I mean, I feel like by the time you get to like the face off, it's like it's already go time. You're already kind of like past it. But yeah, maybe beforehand. I always like make up reasons in my head not to like the other person or whatever, to like to help myself go through it.
Do you care when you get to the top and they tell you you got the shot, it's yours? Does it matter who's on the other side of you? Is there like a preference or anything?
No, I mean whoever's there to do it with. Like I just I want the opportunity to like fight for the belt, and I believe I could, get it. I think I could fill that quest.
But you would agree it would be bigger if it was the legendary Valentina Shevchenko, no?
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. I would love to fight Shevchenko. So hopefully.
Like, for example, when Dricus du Plessis beat Robert Whittaker last year, was it last year? Or maybe the year before? I can't remember. And everyone was like, oh man, this guy's for real, because it was a former champion. It felt like his stock really, really went even higher in one fight, almost like the equivalent of the stock of what a fighter gains after maybe 2 fights or 3 fights. Or more recently, even on your card, Nasruddin Mimavov beats Israel Adesanya, again, a former champion. He finished him. It's like, oh, we got a player now. Now he's injected into possible title talk. So I would imagine those are always the better options.
Yeah, no, I would say I agree.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to some things here. You said you can kind of get snappy with a training partner or a coach. Can you give us an example, a lighthearted example? Is it really bad, or is it like, I told you to get me a medium instead of a large, like a coffee or something?
Oh, no. It'll just be like, um instead of like waiting for them and us all go into like the elevator, I'll just be like, I'll meet you guys there. Like, you know what I mean? I'm kind of just like short with them a little bit, instead of like being like, oh, this is our team, we're all buddies, like let's make jokes as we're walking down and stuff like that. I'll just be like, they're making jokes and like, I just want to get down there, like that kind of thing.
What about fight week, signing posters or trying on your shorts or those different types of things? Like, are those pleasant, calming, or do those get on your nerves too?
No, I love that. I think it's so much fun. Like once I get to fight week, I'm like, yes, all the hard work is done. My worst week is like right before fight week. It's like the end of camp. I've been dieting. I'm having my hardest rounds. My body feels like shit. Like I just want to rest and get to fight week. And so that's when it's worse. But when I get to fight week, I'm like, let's go, baby. I love this. I love all like the fun media stuff that they do. Like I love like training, like the nerves of seeing your opponent for the first time, and all of it, the weigh-ins, the show weigh-ins, getting the meal after with the team. Like I love fight week. It's so much fun. And all the hard work that I put in from camp, like now this is the time to show it. These are the time I'm gonna remember when I'm old and gray.
Let's go back to your fight and the history that you and Mayra Bueno Silva established there in Saudi Arabia. Did you feel a warm embrace from the audience that probably was aware of your guys' historical significance?
Yeah, it was awesome. The fans were like really good. I mean, there wasn't like a ton of fans in there because I was like the third fight. Like once Izzy was there, obviously the place was packed. But like for when I was walking out, I wasn't sure if people were gonna be all like hype and high-fiving me like I normally like to do. But they were, and everyone was so receptive. A lot of people come and take a picture after with me, and no, it was awesome. I feel like they were like very excited that women are fighting in Saudi Arabia.
That's great to hear that
Yeah.
that went over like that, pre-fight, during the fight, and then post-fight, so hopefully that opens even more doors for not just fighting, but all the different sports that we have here in the world. It was a big deal for sure. And you're a big deal because, like I say, you're just on a roll here in the flyweight division, just mowing through your opponents. I know you said you want to kick back and almost decompress and not really think of the names, but I did hear other interviews you did. Aaron Blanchfield, you're definitely open to that. Um, and what I wanted to ask was, are you also open to a lot of what these big fights sometimes it comes down to is availability, timing, maybe you not twisting your arm, but I guess being flexible. Here's what I'm getting at. Are you into the whole being the alternate at a title fight? You may not fight, but you may be the alternate in case one of them can go, that type
Oh,
of thing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any opportunity that would be like that, I would jump on. Like, I don't need a rest that bad. I've only been in this sport for like less than 10 years, so that's why I can kind of power through this all. I just kind of like want to rest because I believe that if I do take a little bit of a rest, then like the sand will be able to settle and I'll be even better. But we'll see.
I wonder if it's a good strategy to just book a vacation, right? Let's start with 3 days, a weekend, we'll say.
Yeah.
I don't know, or a week, and just leave the phone at home, or turn it off. Because I've heard of other fighters missing opportunities because they were isolated up in the mountains or whatever. Maybe not a title fight or anything like that, but just, they had to pass them up. They didn't fight. Okay, but life went on. Have you ever thought of that type of deep compression?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it without my phone just in case I miss an opportunity. Like, I'm pretty good at not going on my phone. Like, I would just like check it in the morning, and then if no opportunity, okay, no problem. I'll check it again like in the evening, and then that would be fine. I'm not someone that's like glued to my phone or anything, so I think it's less of that. I think for me, it's more of just like being in the gym and thinking about martial arts. I think I need to like go do some hikes and be in nature or something a little bit, and that will decompress me.
When you came home, because you said you had a rough camp and these weight cuts obviously aren't easy either. So when you were able to come home, have you already had some celebration meals? And if so, what have they been?
Yeah, I've been eating so many treats and cookies and just anything and everything. Like, I normally don't really eat any like takeout food. I always make my own food, so it's like I went to Starbucks today, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll eat something, and I just like will get random things that I don't ever eat. It's like nothing like cool or special or anything. Just stuff I normally just will prefer a little healthier option. But I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if you know this, but my co-host is my brother. Our mom always raised us with good values, and I know you're not supposed to ask a woman what she weighs. So, if you feel comfortable sharing it, great. And if not, no worries. But here's what I'm curious: do you have like a stop number of what you want to let yourself get to before you're like, I don't want to get too high, like Patty Pimblett or someone like that that
Yeah.
has to then all of a sudden shed it all and sometimes your camp is more about the weight versus getting better in the strategy in the fight.
I would say like 145. If I hit like 146, I'd be like, ugh. But I'd say like 145 would be my number.
Okay. Well, aside from treats, steaks, pastas, things like that, do you have like a favorite meal?
I love steak. I love seafood. Like I went to Costco. One of my favorite things is like going to Costco and like after a fight trip, because then I could just buy a whole bunch of stuff. So I bought like salmon, I bought lobster and scallops, and I'm gonna just make like a big seafood dinner and have a sponsor, Norcini. He's like amazing butcher, and I asked him like, cook me a tomahawk steak. I can't wait.
Nice. Well, you deserve it. And you have been active. I've also noticed that as well. Ever since Contender Series, you've just been blazing through a bunch of fights. But like I say, most of them have been successful. I think you're like 7-2 now or something like that in the UFC alone. So that's highest level. Last question, I guess. Do you want any of those fights back? You know, are those motivators? I think Silva and Cortez, not now, or maybe now, but along the way, or do you just move on to the next task?
I would say like move on to the next task, but I want that Natalia Silva fight back. Like the Cortez fight, like yeah, I would love that fight back, obviously, but I don't think she's ever gonna fight me. So like I don't really care about that one in all honesty. But the Natalia Silva fight, just because I like it was like the first girl that I actually feel like beat me. And like I was like, nah, she like won the fight, you know. Um, so I want that one back for sure. So my dream would be obviously she has the title and then I take the title from her. But
Gotcha.
you know, we'll see.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, I looked at all your round history, and I know you had a split decision loss even before the UFC. Cortez, you won rounds. One judge, I think, some of the MMA decisions, some of the scores came from you. But yeah, it was Natalia Silva that I guess clearly won some rounds off you. So I understand what you're saying. Hey, listen, it's great catching up with you. And congrats on your big win over Mayra Bueno Silva. Can't wait to see what's next for you. I would advise the rest though, because it is a busy schedule and you don't want to mess up the biggest opportunities of your life when it's time for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand. But thank you so much. It was great chatting with you guys.
Okay, you too, Jasmine. Take care.